Okay, in this recording, I'm going to be going over the submissions for the indicatives, participles, and imperative forms of MO for Honesta. On the outset, I like that this is really funny, that this attempt took 21,000 minutes. Of course, you began it, I think, on December 1st, and it's just been opened, and that's perfectly fine. But let's go through it and see what you've gotten right and what you've gotten wrong. All right, so the first thing that we get to here is emere. It has the exclamation point. And if you find it over here, it's just like opprimere, but also if you look down at the imperatives on the right-hand side, it would be there. So it's a passive imperative. And so instead of saying buy, what you have here, it would be the command be bought, as the word over here for opprimere would be the command be crushed, and you're talking to one person. Continuing on, right here, emere, it is future, you got that right, but here, and you have a lot of problems I find when I look over this passage or this attempt, is that you need to make things passive, and very often you make them active. So here it is a passive ending, re. Re, remember, is the alternate ending for ris, and so instead of you will buy, it's simply you will be bought, and so that's the correct answer there. Moving on to the next one. And this one right here is absolutely correct. It was a typo by me, and because you began the original version on December 1st, the other version, after I've corrected it, has not been applicable. So I can go ahead and give you the full points. That is absolutely correct with perfect stem, and then erim, or I should say ero, eris, erit. It is exactly right, as you will have bought. If you look for the example, it's exactly like oppressoris, which has a perfect stem and a future perfect ending. So that's correct. Emanes is a present active participle. Here, down here, you can see it's just like opprimanes, and it would be then, as present active participles translate, simply buying. Not you are buying. There is no subject for a participle because a participle is an adjective, and so just simply buying. Number 8. Number 8 looks like this one over here. It is perfect, it is passive, has the perfect passive participle plus a form of the verb to be, so they, and again, your issue very often is that you don't make it passive, you keep it active, and so instead of they bought, you would say they were bought or they have been bought. Just in the same way over here for oppressus es, you would say you have been crushed versus you crushed, and so here they, sunt, have been bought. Emenda est. Now remember, here it is, you're taking the future passive participle and you're pairing it with the form of the verb to be, and so it's going to show obligation, and the obligation is right now, and it's she has, or not she has, she must be bought. So this one is she must be bought. And here you have the wrong subject. It's he, she, or it, but the A tells me that it is a she, and it shows obligation. Whenever you have that future passive participle with the verb to be, it is obligation. She must be bought. Emptos is nothing but the perfect passive participle, and thus, again, all perfect passive participles translate having been verbed, in this case, having been bought. It's just merely being expressed in the accusative plural, as it has 30 forms. Number 12. Instead of I am buying, number 12 is actually future. So if you were to look at the future, it has for a third conjugation, just like o primo is the long E, but remember, long E plus M is going to end up being AM, and so it is I will buy, and so it is the future tense instead of the present. If it were I am buying, it would be simply MO, EMO, the first principal part. Aim it, he is buying. That's another mistake on my part. I just didn't offer up one of the correct answer choices, and so I can go ahead and give you credit there. That's absolutely right. As he buys, he is buying, he does buy. Here, emite is not a participle, but instead it looks just like opprimite. So we would say to someone, crush. We would say to lots of people, crush. And so here it's just you're commanding lots of people, buy, but it's still just buy by itself. Whether you tell one person to buy something or whether you tell lots of people to buy something, it's just simply going to be buy. Again, your issue is that you have a passive, but you didn't make it passive. Instead of we will buy, it's we will be bought. And so that's your only issue there. Again, you seem to very frequently make the mistake of making something active when it in fact should be passive. And you've done it again here. This is a pluperfect. You identified it as being the perfect passive participle, like oppressus, plus the imperfect verb to be, making a pluperfect, but it's pluperfect passive, and so instead of y'all had bought, it's y'all had been bought. Here is the one that we call idiot proof, in that normally, for example, this one, you cannot think about looking at eratus and say was. By itself, eratus would be was, but you have to look at the whole thing. Well, when it is a future active, using the future active participle with the form of the verb to be, it is going to be able to be translated each part like they were by themselves. So erat by themselves, or by itself, would be they were, and empturi by itself would be about to buy. So they were about to buy. Ementes is another present active participle. It's merely the non-nominative, nominative singular will have ns. All others are going to have an nt ending the stem and then a third declension ending. So again, all 30 forms would be buying, simply buying. Emptus erit. Now here, emptus erit looks exactly like what we have up here with a fourth principal part, perfect passive participle, emptus, perfect passive participle, plus the future of the verb to be. So here, it is he, she, or it. The us tells me that it's going to be he, but it's future perfect and passive. So will have and passively been bought. So he will have been bought. bar. Again, this is a mistake on my part. It was just mislabeled, and so you absolutely have it correct. I was bought. I was being bought, so I can go ahead and give you the credit there. Again, whenever you see a future passive paraphrastic, which is what you have here, future passive participle, you can recognize it by the nd, and then you pair it with a form of the verb to be, it's going to show obligation. So, but not right now, but yesterday, it, and that tells me that it's it, not a he, not a she. It, yesterday, must have been bought. So it's again going to be passive, been bought, but must have been because it shows obligation. Number 24 is merely the future active participle. It's just instead of an us, o. It has an o ending, must be modifying something dative or ablative. And so all 30 forms, regardless of whatever it ends with, is going to be about to verb, in this case, about to buy. Emitor is absolutely correct. It's just that I didn't give one of the correct answer choices. So he is bought or he is being bought. And so therefore, you absolutely get the credit there. And then finally, again, another one that is considered idiot-proof in that normally you can't translate est, he is, but when it is paired with a future active, it is going to be allowed to be translated each individual part as though it was by itself. So he is about to buy. And then finally, the last one, long E. It is a long E because nt ate the macron. And so long E in a third conjugation is future. And so not they are buying, but they will buy. So update the score. You're probably not still satisfied with that score, but hopefully having watched this short video, you're going to be guided as to what the correct answers are. So best of luck, and I appreciate all your hard work. I truly do.